Let me take a look at number 31 through 32. We're still going to use the idea of parallel lines with a transversal. We might add extra lines if necessary. So let's take a look at number 31. Find the values of the missing angles in the diagram below. So there's missing angles. I gotta find them all. So the angle W, Z, X, and Y. So let me write them in order here. So angle W equals a numbered, angle X equals a numbered, angle Y, and angle Z. And I don't have to solve them in alphabetical order. I just have to solve them in the way that I can solve them. Okay, so let's take a look. And I know two lines are parallel. These two lines are parallel. So I'm going to use the idea of parallel lines with transversals. Okay, so I'm going to figure this out with parallel lines and transversals. So one thing I'm going to do is with adjacent angles. I know this is 116. This is 116. So I'm going to say this angle here is 64. How did I do that? Well, because those two angles are adjacent. Remember how adjacent angles add up to 180? So 180 minus 116 is 64, so that's 64. It's not a corner that I was asked for, but it's a measurement that I'm going to use. Now, using, let me highlight this transversal. Using this 64 and this W, that looks like corresponding because they're both on the same side of the transversal. So that looks like corresponding. And I remember corresponding angles equal to each other. So one angle is 64, I'm going to say the other angle is 64. Another thing that I can use here is same side interior. 64. And then this other one is Z plus 41. That's same side interior. And I remember for same side interior, I add everything here. So 64 plus Z plus 41 and equals to 180. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is um, Z 64 plus 41. I'm just combining my like terms here. 64 plus 41 is 105 equals 180. So let me move minus 105. So my Z happens to be 75. Okay. I got two of the angles that I needed so far. So angle W is 64 degrees. Angle Z is 75 degrees. I gotta solve for the others. Now what I'm going to do, let me erase my highlights here. I'm actually gonna create another line here. I'm gonna create another line here at the bottom that it's going as parallel as the ones that the lines that I have. And then I'm going to create a transversal here. Okay, so let's work on this. You guys see my two parallel lines. I had to come up with an extra line there. And then, let's see, I know this angle right here is 116 because of vertical angle. I mean, erase this line right here for right now. Let me take a look at this transversal here. So I gotta find other angles, right? I gotta find a way how to do my other angles. Now here, what I'm gonna use is this angle with this whole corner right here. Now those two look like alternate interior. And I know alternate interior, those two angles are equal to each other. So these two numbers here, I'm going to say that this angle here happens to be 87 because those two angles right here have to equal to 1/16. You guys see my idea? They have to equal to 1/16. Cool. Now let me erase this transversal. Let me take a look at this other transversal here. And I think I have enough to solve for angle X. Because angle X in this 87 degrees, they look corresponding to me. And remember how corresponding angles are equal to each other. So I'm going to say this is 87. And guess what? I'm going to say this is another 87 degrees. I might need that 87 or not. And let's see. Now, what I'm going to do, let me think of another transversal here. As I mean, another parallel line as parallel as this with this transversal. And I'm going to say this angle here is 93 degrees. You guys agree? Because those two have to add up to 180, right? 93 and 87. I'm using the idea of same side interior. Now I'm also going to say this angle here is 93. I'm using the idea of alternate interior. So those two 93s are equal to each other. 93, 93. I'm gonna say this angle here is 41. Some of you might be like, wait a minute, where did that 41 come from? Well, let's take a look at this transversal. You see how this 41 and this 41, they're corresponding? Okay. Think I can solve for y here. Let me highlight in blue the angle that isn't that 180? Because that's half of a circle. Isn't 93 plus y plus 41 equal to 180? So letter-wise, y plus 93 plus 41, isn't that 134? I just combine my like terms. Let me move this as a minus 134, so I get that y is equal to 46. Good. I know the value of y is 46, and I know the value of x is 87. Notice how I needed to complete this by adding extra parallel lines, looking at transversals. So this is combining all of that. Same idea for number 32. Find the values of the missing angles in this diagram. The angles that I see here, that angle W, angle X, angle Y, and angle Z. I don't have to solve them in alphabetical order, but I had to figure out how to solve this. Now, one thing I'm going to do here, I see this 41, this 86. I can find this other angle here. And I'm going to say this is, well, 41 plus 86, isn't that 127? Let me call this angle A for right now. I'm going to use another letter. As a matter of fact, let me call it angle Y. Maybe why am I calling it angle Y when I see angle Y? Isn't this an X form? and those two angles are opposite from each other. So isn't that vertical angle? Those two angles are equal to each other. So this is angle Y. But I know that 41 plus Y plus 86 is equal to 180. Because that's half of a circle, right? Those three angles combined. I know 86 and 41 combined, that's 127. So I have the Y plus 127 is equal to 180. Let me move this as a minus 127. So Y is going to be equal to 53. Now using the idea of parallel lines and a transversal, let me use red. This angle is corresponding to this angle. But isn't this 94? Because 53 plus 41 is 94. So it means this is 94. Cool. I already have the W is 94 and I already have a Y is 53. Now this is coming up along pretty easily. Let's move up to here. Angle X and angle Z. Okay. How am I gonna solve this? Let's take a look. I'm gonna use these two parallel lines. You guys see they're parallel. And I'm gonna use this transversal. And I know angle W or 94 degrees and angle Z happen to be same side interior. Happen to be same side interior. Okay. Isn't same side interior equal to 180? So Z plus 94 is equal to 180. Let me move this as a minus 94. So Z is equal to 86. Already solved for angle Z. Good. Now I gotta solve for angle X. Okay, let me erase this parallel lines. I'm looking at angle X. I'm gonna use these two parallel lines. And I'm gonna use this transversal here. And I'm looking at angle X. Let me erase this arc right here because I just want angle X marked. And I remember alternate interior. Is it angle X equals to this angle because of alternate interior? Because they're on different sides of the transversal, they're between the parallel lines. One of them is 41, isn't the other one 41 as well? So there you go.